Hello and welcome to the Blackout Podcast, where I get to talk to amazing people who do amazing things. And today I have Dylan Kennedy. I also know you as Megan Scenes, but now I find out you're working at this amazing charity. You want to tell me a bit more about it?
Yeah, well, after the election, I decided you don't really need a fancy title to do great work. So I've started fundraising for the CNIB. We're trying to get guide dogs free for blind Canadians, but they cost $50,000 each.
For a dog.
Yeah.
I mean, they do amazing things, but still, holy smokes.
Oh, those dogs are like superheroes. They're smarter than I am.
So, do they have to be like a specific breed? And do you know anything about the training they have to go through?
I'm not entirely sure if they need to be a specific breed or not.
Okay.
And I know I see a lot of labs around. They're smart. But the training is quite extensive, and that's largely why it costs so much. We also bring them in from the United States, so that adds a whole other level of cost. So,
And do you know how long the training for each dog takes?
I honestly don't. I do know the price point, and that's about it.
and what are some of the things you do, like, to try to raise these funds? Do you have like a specific number of dogs you're trying to get, or?
So right now, we're trying to train the dogs. So like, we're getting vaccines, food, toys, harnesses, things like that. With this whole pandemic and everything, the options for fundraising are pretty limited. So right now, it's a lot of canvassing door to door. But we're looking forward to expanding it a little bit.
So, one thing I didn't also mention is that you're a gay man. And being a queer person in East Coast is something that I'm also working on talking about. And that's why I initially reached out to you. But like, how is it with the queer community in the East Coast?
In the East Coast, for most of the province, at least in Nova Scotia, there isn't that much of a queer community. So Halifax, Moncton, these bigger cities are sort of like safe havens for the queer community in all of Halifax. So it's very rich here, but you go a little bit further out and it's a little bit different.
Why do you think that is?
Well, there's lots of reasons, and I grew up in rural Nova Scotia, and so we were sort of like the canary in the coal mine for a lot of economic issues we're seeing. So the brain drain in the early 2000s, then the oil boom out west, which took a lot of our working professionals, and a lot of smaller communities just kind of became shells of their former self.
And what are some things you think we could do to either reverse that or make it better?
There's a lot of people trying to answer that question. I think we need to take better acknowledgement of the fact that our leadership does contribute to the problem. So I look at Stephen McNeil, and he completely destroyed our film industry, which was it was a massive sense of pride, especially in Halifax and all throughout Nova Scotia. That was the industry I was more closely following, but the community services sector was also gutted. There's a lot of austerity that took place over the past 8 years.
So, excuse me. Was that one of the motivations for you to run for councillor position?
In a lot of ways, there were a lot of things that led me to run. I felt that the young professional wasn't really being represented. Young people trying to start out their lives, build a future in Nova Scotia, it is very difficult. And I didn't see people addressing that perspective in leadership.
And what district was it?
District 8,
District
North
8?
End,
Yeah.
Halifax.
And what was the process for you to run?
So it starts out, you just declare your candidacy. So you have, it usually is a regular meeting, but we did a Zoom meeting where you just fill out your paperwork, you declare if you want a financial agent or not, and then you get your next set of documents where you are nominated. So you have to get about 10 signatures from people in the community, and that puts you on the ballot. You have to do a $200 deposit, but you get a certain percentage back. I got 100 back. So, and I really did see a lot of my ideas start being taken seriously. I was advocating for a 2% rental increase cap, and that's in the emergency measures. I don't take any credit for that. There was a lot of hard work that went into that, but that I feel that some people heard my perspective and agreed with it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, buildings are going up in Halifax everywhere. And a friend of mine actually had like a landlord from hell, and they just moved. And it's like, how they allow some of these landlords get away with some of the things they did. I read of one where the person just took off the door from like the hinges and let the door open.
Oh, well, that happened to my brother too. He was in a very tough spot. Like, there was, he was divorced, so there was a whole alimony situation. And he was between jobs, but there was the mortgage moratorium, and he wasn't allowed to be evicted, so they pried his door off. They
What the?
started doing inspections over and over and over again to try to drive him out.
That is
And
crazy.
yeah, so right now I'm looking forward to April 2021, when there's tentatively supposed to be a provincial election. And Lisa Roberts, our MLA for the north end of Halifax, she is really great, and she's done a lot of work for tenants' rights, and she works closely along Acorn. So I definitely recommend everybody sign up for her newsletter and start getting that groundwork for an orange wave.
So have you always been interested in like legislation and governments, like even growing up?
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up in a household of activists. My mom's done a lot of work for like women escaping domestic violence. My dad was a union organizer, so it's definitely an aspect of life that I've always been talking about.
Mm-mm. And then now you've run for councillorship and have this experience. Is this something you think you'll do again?
Absolutely. I'm trying to keep my eye on 2024, but also focusing on seeing what I can do between now and 2024. But it was a really great experience running. It and I definitely feel like I've got a future in politics.
Oh, wow, that's great. So let's talk about the charity. How did you get the job? How did that happen?
Um, it was a long, arduous job hunt, like most people are going through right now. I definitely lucked out and just went through the interview.
Okay. Okay. And so it's like now that you have this job and you're working on trying to get these dogs, are there other things that you're working on for, I guess, well, not looking at 2024, but just to make things better in your community?
Yeah, so right now, like I said before, I'm trying to keep my eye on these provincial elections. I do have some student loan debt, so unfortunately, you won't see me on the ballot there. But I definitely am endorsing Lisa Roberts, and I am working with her to see how best I can be utilized to make sure that she stays in office, and how I can help make all of Halifax NDP.
Okay, but don't you think that's a monumental task?
Absolutely, and I'm just one person of many people with it,
Fair enough.
but definitely trying to do my part.
So Megan Scenes, let's talk about her. How did that happen? How did you get into drag?
Well, I used to work at Menz and Mollyz, and I got into drag just being around so much artistry all of the time. And so started doing pageants, started doing shows, and really grew to love performing.
What do you, well, you love performing, but what aspects of performing do you like?
Attention.
How do you decide your outfits?
I generally go to like a thrift store, and the people at Frenchie's and Fairview used to be so great to me. They would hold things for me and be like, this is great." And but yeah, I would usually see what kind of is extra loud in the thrift store,
Yeah.
and then I would alter it, see what kind of music works better with it, see how I can make the outfit better reflect that. Most of my drag came from playing with fabrics and things like that, so it's whatever creative whim I have at whatever time, basically.
And then, talking about like colors and your advocacy, one thing that you also raised when you're running for councillorship was the climate. Why is that important to you?
The climate is important to me because it should be important to everybody. It's where we live. Our food comes from the ground, our water comes from the earth. Everything that any ambitions for the future anybody has, any opinions on policy or any opinions you have in general is inherently tied to the environment and its future, because if we don't clean up our act, then none of it really is going to matter.
You mentioned something about the waterfront. What was that?
Well, we just are not doing enough to plan ahead. I have been pleased to see in the annual budget that, or the budget survey, that we are asking about climate preparation. So I think I got my point across there, but we need to put in some seawalls because, like, right now I'm working like on the Northwest Arm and near where the yacht club is, and it's just rock armor there. In 10 years, we're going to see a huge problem with storm surges. And it's an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
And I guess with what happened with what was the hurricane Dorian, like that was a sign of possibilities in the future.
Yeah, well, that was only category 2? With the way the climate's warming, like, and the different shifts of warm and cold water we're seeing and how drastic they are, we're going to be looking at least categories 3s and 4s becoming normal. And our city just is not equipped to handle that. But you look at what recently happened in, was it Toronto or Ottawa, where all of the building materials started raining down from the sky. It's something all of Canada needs to start doing better at.
Um, and what happens if we don't?
Well, if we don't, on top of the problems we're already seeing, we're going to have flaming bricks raining down on us. We don't need to make our physical built environment an added hazard.
So, COVID happened. Everything shut down. But one of the things that came of that is you yourself had COVID scare and you had to take a test. What was the process and procedure for that? How did it feel? And
Well, our province is actually doing a really great job at this. So I did have to self isolate, and it was really hard because I just started this new job and had to go right into isolation. So that was sad. But then within 2 days, I got a free cab to the COVID center within 10-20 minutes. Got my swab and was out. The cab was still waiting for me, and I got to go home. 2 to 3 days later, I got my results. So it takes about a week. Everybody is very understanding if you have to take that time, and the actual testing is not. It's not a financial burden. It's not a time burden. So,
but they stick something up your nose though.
oh, it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable, but I've also got tattoos, so I can't complain about a little scraping action.
Oh, so like they kind of stick it in and.
Oh yeah, it's I didn't believe it. I saw a meme where they showed how far it goes up your nose, and I was like, this is just more disinformation. No, they really go way up there past your eyeball. They're scraping your brain.
How long does it stay up your nose?
About 3 seconds or
Oh,
so.
okay.
So it's enough time that you're like, yep, this is really uncomfortable, but then you feel the relief after.
Yeah. And then the test, like the result, did it come like in an email or like a
Yeah,
letter?
it came in an email. You give them like the last 4 digits of your health card, and you get your results.
So do you think, I mean, now we know that vaccines are coming out in the near future, but we also have people that don't believe in vaccines. So what do you think will happen?
I mean, it's depressing, but what's going to happen is the same thing that happens with people who are against vaccines. They're going to get typhoid, polio, all these medieval diseases that we thought we've eradicated.
Yeah.
So there's definitely going to be a subsection of people, but I hope it's like seatbelts. Like 61% of the population thought seatbelts were an affront to freedom, and now everybody just shakes their head at that. Like,
Yeah.
deep down, we've all got this inherent desire to die horribly in an accident. And we just kind of got to work with that.
Yeah, but like, and the other thing I think, like, we in the US, the Thanksgiving now made the numbers blow up. And even with the numbers going up, there's still people that don't wear masks or like even believe that is a thing.
And did you see that? I think it was a TikTok of that nurse who was talking
With a
about
mask
people.
on, yeah.
No, the one who was talking about people with their masks on, or their like ventilators, and still saying that COVID's not real on their
What?
dying breath.
Holy smokes.
It's a death cult.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can describe
That
it.
is crazy. So like you're dying of what then?
Right, exactly. Exactly. It's like she was saying that it's heartbreaking because people should be talking to their families and saying their like last words, but they're just filled with hate.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But like, I mean, you have this huge task ahead of you, and then I mean, actually everywhere, it's for the dogs, to make it orange, all of Nova Scotia. What are some things you're doing towards that?
So right now I am focusing at home, making sure that Halifax Needham is safe. And from there, just seeing what I can do, participating more with the actual NDP, joining the party, and just being an ally. I'm not expecting to do it single-handedly, but just hoping to get people involved.
Oh, Dylan, thank you so much for coming and for sharing so much. And good luck with everything, really.
And thank you for having me. And also, thank you for inviting me to the Mosaic Film Festival. It was so charming, and definitely everyone should check it out.
Yeah, it's open for next year, and from what I hear, there are already people submitting, so it's gonna be great.
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much, Dylan.
Thank you. Have a great day.